All right, welcome to episode 50 of Dispersing the Cloud. I am going to recap. Only got 1 week left. I just got done with a workout, and I'm going to try to knock this thing out real quick. I was coming up short. I think I'm going to make it. I got to read 3 books next week to reach the 60 book mark. I've been super all over the place. I'm going to shut this thing off. I'm super all over the place with whether or not, or what episode I've been on, whether or not I'm at 60 books, over 60 books. There was a brief period of time where I thought I was over 60 books, and I clearly was not. I did a recount, and I am about, after this week, I'm about 3 books away. Last week, I was under the impression, what is this thing broken or what? I was under the impression that I still had 6 books to go. I did a recount and double checked all the videos, and I only had 5 books to go. So this week I did 2, next week I'm doing 3, and I'll bust out my 60 books for the year. Real quick, my owl book, There's an Owl on Our Car, is going to be published by the time the new year starts, which I'm super pumped about. We're finishing up that. We're trying to get the all the stuff on Amazon. It's just going to be released on Kindle and iPad and all that jazz. So by the time you see this, it'll be online. So go to Amazon.com and look for my name, Samuel Fragoza, and check out that book. There's an Owl on Our Car, ages from 0 to 4, something like that. Not as tired. We've been doing private work, so I've had a little bit more time to catch up on projects, a little bit more time to stay in the gym. I'm like 13 or maybe even 16 weeks. I got to check on the gym comeback. About 5 months ago, I just was sick of not being in shape. Actually, my buddy Chad Mendez's wedding, we all got into a hot tub after the wedding because they did it up at this like cabin, and everybody's like, hey, yeah, let's hit the hot tub. And the first thought that went through my mind was, oh my god, I look disgusting, but I don't want to not hang out with everybody. And so that was like the turnaround point for me, to where I get my fat butt back into shape. And I'm getting close, and by the time summer hits, I'm gonna be freaking shredded and leaded. This week, Jordan Belfort, he's the Wolf of Wall Street guy. One of the books that I read this week was The Way of the Wolf. Used to be in sales, Project Double Down. I'm probably going back to sales. This was just a good recap. You know what? I usually go through my notes and I read, and I prepare, because you guys know I'm not a great reader even when I write the notes. So I'm just going to go through the quotes. And if you guys haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street, basically this guy was a sleazy salesman. This book is after he's been out, like he's been to prison and he's out. And this is how he starts the book out, which is super cool. Success without respect, wealth without restraint, and power without responsibility. Those are the 3 things that he really like starts preaching against after he's been to prison and sees the error of his ways. I love books like this. Another guy, Ryan Holiday, his book, Ego is the Enemy, and Trust Me, I'm Lying, Ego is the Enemy, and Obstacle is the Way. Those were all after his American Apparel rise and fall. And I love stories, super successful people who go out and they do these great things, and then hindsight, they look back and they're like, man, I wish I would have done it better. I wish I would have done it differently. So I always find that super, super appealing. I'm going to turn the car on real quick because my phone's telling me that it's almost dead. Key elements to close. I thought this was pretty insightful. They call it 310. So product, idea, or concept. Your customer has to be at a level 10 when it comes to your product, your idea, or your concept. On the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most enthusiastic that they could be about your product, your idea, or your concept, they have to be at that high level to make a purchasing decision. Trust, or said another way, They have to be at a level 10 when it comes to you. They have to be able to trust you. They have to be, before they do business with you, they have to trust you. And if they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. And the third one is trust or connection with the company. They have to trust your company. So what you're trying to do, he calls it straight line selling. You're trying to get someone from a 1 to a 10. And once they're at a 10 on every single level, they're jazzed about the product, they trust you, and they trust the company. It's a no-brainer for them. Now, some people are going to buy at 7s, like 7, 10, 3 is probably not going to happen. If they don't trust the company, they're going to go shopping, right? But if you get them 7, 8, 9, or 7, 9, 8, or 10, 7, 10, then they might buy from you. When prospect fed to the light, some of this is speak text, so I apologize. If you expect it, you are creating more work for yourself in callbacks from people who will never buy. When the prospects fed to the light, feed to the light. I don't know what I was trying to say. I do know that when he was talking about wasting your time on callbacks, is if someone's at like a 3 when it comes to your product, don't waste your time calling them back. Call somebody back who's at like a 6 or a 7. It's just you're creating a lot more work for yourself when it comes to callbacks. You're calling people back who are never going to buy. Main objective, it's not the right time. I need to talk to someone else. Those are basically the main objectives that come up for anything. It doesn't matter what you're selling. Those are typically the main objections that come up. And a lot of times he was talking about them being masks for the roots of the actual problem. If you trusted me, you wouldn't need to talk to someone. You wouldn't say that, but that's the deal, right? If they were at 10s on every single level, they wouldn't need more time to think about it, and they wouldn't need to talk to somebody else. So they're saying those are their objections, but you need to circle back and realize that those are just roots of the problems that are the real objections. I just wrote that. Root of the problem, all objections are uncertain. Oh, uncertainty. Yeah, they're uncertain about you, the product, or the company. Pain is the most visible tool. Pain creates urgency. A lot of companies do this. Fear, pain. You know, if you don't buy, price is going to go up. That's kind of sleazy, especially if you know the price isn't going to go up. But typically people buy something because they have a pain. They have some worry. They have some angst. And your job as a salesperson is to relieve that pain, worry, or angst. The car that I'm sitting in right now, I bought, right? Because I had just got a sales job. And I drove an Isuzu Amigo. And I had a fear of that Isuzu Amigo breaking down on me. I had a fear that it wasn't going to, it wasn't going to be able to make it to, I had a pain, I had a fear, and I paid way too much for this car because I was trying to ease that pain, right? And my car broke down on me. The side I was on my way to LA actually to an audition or something. My car breaks down. And literally, I had to get a tow truck all the way back to Riverside. And the next day, I was like, guess I got to buy a car. I had this pain, this fear of not being able to get to work. And so I paid too much, right? If you have first impression, this was interesting. You have 4 seconds to make a first impression and 8 chances to embed positive impressions to eliminate 1 bad impression. So you got 4 seconds to make a great first impression. If that doesn't work out, you do have redemption, but you need 8 positive responses before you can erase that 1 4-second bad response. So first impressions are key. I actually experienced this a lot. So I did some job interviews with my beard. Partly just for kicks, but I wanted my nephew to be able to shave my beard, and he hadn't had a chance. And I had like 4 job interviews lined up, and I was like, dude, I'm just gonna rock the job interviews with these gnarly beards. And I was extremely overqualified for every position. I actually didn't want any of the jobs, so it was fun for me to just go in and look like a freaking clown. But it was very, very interesting to me to come in with a really good resume, to come in with a master's degree for positions that I could definitely dominate and were way overqualified for, but still told him I was eager to start, just looking for a job, been out of the workforce for 3 years, taking care of family and doing my own thing. And I could tell, like, in the interview, they were so uncomfortable with the beard, like, just staring at it, just not sure what to make of this dude who's got, like, this pomp hair and this giant beard walking in with this curled mustache, like, hey, what's going on? I'd like to work here. It would take 8 embedded positive responses from me to erase that one horrible memory for them. Creating, see, that doesn't make sense. It says creating, have it, though, stick mapping rather than habit mapping, linguistic mapping rather than habit mapping. I believe the linguistic mapping that he was talking about was using particular words mattering. Instead of saying sign the contract, you know, from a very early age, our parents tell us don't sign any contracts, you know, don't put your name on a contract. So if we're using linguistic mapping, we're not going to say contract because that's going to map us to some place that's negative. We're going to say the paperwork. You could even say the form, but don't say contract. Not that it's not a contract, because it is a contract, and not that you're trying to be sleazy, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to not associate your good business with any other sleazy or corrupt businesses that have crappy contracts. Anchoring, we also read about this in The Power of Habit. Oh, anchoring was awesome. So if you guys watched the video, I didn't do a video on Power of Habit because I read it last year. Power of Habit talks a lot about anchoring, and they gave the example of toothpaste. Toothpaste in America wasn't popular until they added mint. Mint does nothing for your teeth. All it does is it gives you a minty flavor when you breathe. And so it's that anchoring that actually created the popularity in toothpaste here in America. Clearly it didn't catch on in Britain. Oh, that wasn't nice. Sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Sometimes I'm very politically incorrect. Don't worry about it. So anchoring, what this guy uses, he uses I think it's a nasal spray, which is really, really weird. But he uses a nasal spray as his anchoring. So, and he screams, yes, yes, yes. If you guys watch UFC or you've ever seen Diego Sanchez uses anchoring before his fights like a freaking psychopath. He screams into his coach's face, yes, 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 and he does it after, I think he does it after big wins too, because he's anchoring the big win before, and he's trying to get himself in that mindset. I don't ever want to get into a fight with Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez, if you ever watch this, don't ever fight me. I think I could probably run faster than him though. Not longer, but faster. Maybe just like real quick. I'll think about it. Maintaining your ethics and integrity is a gift that every man gives to himself. This was just a great quote, especially coming from Jordan Belfort, someone who arguably did a lot of illegal things and took advantage of a lot of people to make millions and billions of dollars, and then went to jail for it. And then coming out and saying maintaining your ethics and integrity is a gift that every man gives to himself. I think when we reflect and we look at our lives and the times that we've maintained our integrity in spots where it was very easy not to, those are gifts. We look back. I know I personally look back and I'm like, man, not to say that you should be egotistical and proud of yourself in that moment, because I mean, if you want to know more about me, like, I'm a Christian, and I'll tell you right now, I'm the worst of all Christians. So like, I'm not toting myself, but it is a gift you give to yourself. It's one of those things that it makes you feel good that you were able to withstand pressures not to keep your integrity. Phrasing your statements as questions during your introduction implies agreement, right? This was really, really interesting. So when you're doing your cold calls, and this is kind of gray area, but I do like this. This is brilliant, because you're just implying agreement. You're not lying. You're just questioning. So if I call and say, hi, this is, I used to work for Dignity, so I'll use Dignity Memorial. Hi, this is Samuel Fragoza, sales manager for Dignity Memorial. Is John in? All right. This is implying, hi, this is Samuel Fragoza from Dignity Memorial. Yeah, I'm calling for John. As if I've already talked to you. You should know who I am. Did we talk? No, the secretary can't remember. It's a little messed up, but it's implying agreement, and you can use that as you're cold calling people to, hey, this is John. John, how you doing? This is Samuel Fragoza from Dignity Memorial. John's like, yeah, Sam, how can I help you? Well, actually, John, I sent you an email 2 weeks ago. And so you sent an email, you sent another cold call, you sent out a flyer or whatever. But the implication is you're trying to get him to agree with you because you're not a sleazy salesman. You believe in your product, so you're trying to sell it. Phrasing your statements, experts say smart stuff sometimes, but bull stuff. Hold on. Experts say smart stuff sometimes, bull stuff, and at times, occasionally, shoot the stuff, but never stupid stuff. Experts say smart stuff, bull stuff, right? And occasionally, shoot the stuff. You can replace stuff with another word, but never say stupid stuff. And so his whole thing was like, you want to memorize your scripts to the point to where you're never freestyling, because you end up going to say something stupid. You want to know your material so well that you have enough to talk about if you birdwalk for 20 minutes. And if you don't, sometimes you're going to end up saying stupid stuff. And experts don't say stupid stuff, and people don't buy from experts. I thought that was pretty insightful. The second book that I read this week was, oh my God, it was Be a Successful Seller. I don't even know, man. This is horrible. I don't even have it up. No, this is what happens when you don't plan and you're not live, so you can't pull up, and it's not even on this app. Selling financial services. Be an expert seller. Be an expert seller selling financial services. I believe that's what it was. The guy's name, Hopkins. Last name Hopkins. First name, not Anthony. We'll see if I can remember it as it goes on. This was a very short book. I was actually looking for a short book because I'm running out of time. But this is a pretty cool statement. When a student is ready, a teacher will appear. This isn't his quote. This was a quote that he pulled. I don't know where he pulled it from. But I've heard it before, so I wrote it down. We know that as I'm reading books, I hear things multiple times. This is the second time that I've heard that phrase. So I wrote it down, and hopefully by the third time, fourth time, I'll start to know who that is and where that's coming from. Building a business. This was really awesome and applicable to what I'm doing, and it works out with what people have been. It works for what I'm about to do with my move out to Missouri and all the above. Building a business is like flying a plane. You have to go full throttle before you can glide. Some people want to glide before they put the throttle down all the way to the floor. I've noticed this when we have full-time jobs. When we get the job, we tend to glide. When we don't have the job, we tend to go full throttle, right? Every day you're up, you're scouring for a job, you're desperately trying to find that security, that check that's going to come each month. And then we get the job and then we glide. Life shouldn't be like that. Life should really be a grind until you're like 40 and then just glide after that. the reason I brought up my move to Missouri is I have some friends who's lived out there, and I've been out there, and I know in some of my past videos I talked about speed and pace, and the pace that I like to move and get projects done. And I was going over my project board with one of my friends, just going over the 15, 20 different projects that I have right now, plus my full-time job that I'm currently working on. And he said, how are you going to do this in Missouri? Everybody out there moves so slow. I don't know how it's going to work. I know it's going to work by me delegating a lot of my stuff to other people and having enough cash coming in. I mean, with a full-time job, I'm going to be able to do twice as much, because I'll have twice as much income coming, and I'll have the income from all the side projects that I had from this year, and then I'll have all the income coming in from a full-time job. And instead of me heading up a lot of the projects, I've found people that will be heading up those projects for me. But being full throttle really is something that you have to be willing to do. I've been on a mission for the last 4 months, of just next level working my butt off. I have refound the Superman freaking workaholic that is Samuel Fragoza, and I love him and I hate him because I'm way more tired than I usually am. Project Double Down is going to be 18 is going to be a rough year. 2018 to 2020 is going to be full throttle for me. I'm excited. I'm nervous about it. I'm already in it, so it's nothing to be nervous about. I'm doing it right now. But I really, really liked that quote about starting businesses. I've been involved with businesses with people that don't want to go full throttle, or want to go full throttle but don't want to sustain a full throttle for a couple years. Some stuff takes a slow grind, and other stuff takes a million miles an hour, and you just keep going until the million miles an hour takes effect, and then you can glide. I'm super excited about 2018 with I'll have almost 6 different assets released, whether they're songs, books, projects that are bringing me income without me working. So I'm super, super excited to even create more in 2018. And by 2020, I would like 20 different projects and assets created online for people to buy, products, services. Praying for real estate against agent. Praying for real. Oh, this was awesome. So this actually lines up with one of the books that I already started reading for next week, Praying Audacious Prayers. Sun Stand Still is the name of the book. I'm going to review it. But this story was really cool. So Johnny Hopkins? No, that's from a movie quote. That's got to be Step Brothers. It's not Johnny Hopkins. That's the quote from Step Brothers. I smoked weed with Johnny Hopkins. It was Johnny Hopkins and Tommy Lee Leary. Oh my God. Praying for a real estate agent. So this guy's talking about knocking on doors and trying to sell his first real estate piece of property, and he's going around, he's knocking on doors, and he's getting really discouraged. He knocks on a door, and a man answers the phone, and he does his little spiel. And the guy says, "Hold on, you're a real estate agent?" I said, "Yeah." "Wait right here." "Honey," goes and gets his wife. Sweet little lady comes up to the door, and she's like, "Are you a real estate agent?" And he's looking around behind him like, "Yeah, I just knocked on the door, told you I was." "Oh, good, thank you. We've been praying, or we prayed last night that God would send us a real estate agent." And Hopkins is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sell this." Like literally, that was like his first deal, right? His first sale. But I thought that was, I thought that was pretty cool, because I've experienced the same thing when you're doing door knocking, when you're doing cold calling. Simon Sinek, the guy who writes People Buy or Start With Why. People buy why you do something, not what you do. He talks about companies, and they really get jazzed up. Oh, we got 10% of the market. He's like, dude, you could get 10% of the market by cold calling. And you really can. You can get 10% of the market just by knocking on doors. You'll find those people who are like, last night we were talking about this and we need to do it right now. So I just wanted to bring that story up. One, because I was reading Sun Sand Still for next week, and that story just popped in my head, so I wrote it in my notes. And then two, talking about sales and talking about getting over rejection and all the above. Like, man, you can sell at least 10% of the market just by running into it. That's pretty much it for this week. Those are the 2 books that I read. I have 1 more week to finish 3. I am reading Grit, I am reading Sun Stand Still, and I am reading Good and Beautiful God. I'm going to read all 3 of those next week. We have private work again for construction, and I'm going to knock it out. I'm going to get my 60 books. I'm going to start a new year, and I don't know when I'm going to do these live again. Next week, I'm announcing to the Church of Missouri, they're finding out that I'm going to be their new worship leader for next year, for 2017. So that's going to become official next week. I got all the video stuff done for that. I'll tell you a little bit more about it next week. And I believe my first service there is going to be the 28th of January. 28th of January is probably when I'm going to start doing live videos again. I'm not making a big deal about me leaving, so it's probably not going to be public until then. Yeah, man, but that's happening. So January 28th, by the time you see this, it'll already have happened, and I'll be out there. But that's going to be my first service there. I'll probably live stream from the church on that Sunday, and that'll probably be my first Sunday back. But right now this is kind of exciting. I'm starting to build up for 2018. I'm going to try to do at least 12 episodes where I have guests on, different guests in different fields, friends of mine who run their own businesses, who are nutritionists, who are avid learners and readers like I am, and outside the box thinkers. So I'm pumped about that. At least 12. And they have already been notified and are picking their books right now, and we're going to pick some dates. So I might do one January 28th as like the first episode, and I think some of those are going to be with Skype and my new Sling Studio that I'm using, courtesy of KCO, and I think I'm going to try to get him to do one too. So that's what I got going on. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will talk to you soon.